Hello students, welcome back to your online class. Today I'll be teaching literature to the students of standard 8. This is chapter number 7, The Prize Poem. Now the author of this poem is P.G. Wodehouse, as you can see in your book. Now P.G. Wodehouse, who is Sir Pelham Grenville Wodehouse, was an English author, humorist and scriptwriter. After completing his studies, he was employed by a bank, but he disliked the work and wrote magazine pieces in his free time. He published his first novel, The Pathantos, set at the fictional public school of St. Augustine's. His early stories continued the school theme, and this chapter is also based on the school theme. Okay, he also used the school setting in his short story collections, which started in 1903 with the publication of Tales of St. Augustine. So, in this chapter, the story, the prize poem, the author tells us, he tells us about how force is futile, when the heart is disinterested. If your heart is not interested in anything, if anyone forces you for something, it is futile, it's of no use. That is the message which the author wants to convey from this story. Now let me tell you in short what this chapter is all about. Now this chapter, this is a story about a poetry competition for students at St. Augustine's College. The prize for the competition, there is a competition. The prize for the competition was sponsored by a rich man, and its topic was chosen by the headmaster. A handful of students looked forward to this. That means few children, looked forward. They eagerly waited for it. But most considered it a burden. But most of the students, those who were not interested in it, it was a burden for them. Now in this story, we find out what happens when students struggle to come up with a poem for the competition. That means it was compulsory for all. Everyone has to write a poem of a particular class. So those who were not interested also, they have to write. Now let me tell you in short the story. Once a rich man set aside a portion of his income for remembering him after his death. At the same time, that was like harassment for the children, for a particular section of mankind. Those who were not interested in writing poetry, they had to write it. Now according to his will, that money was to be utilized for giving a prize to the writer of the best poem on the given topic. In the chapter you will see sixth form, from the sixth form of St. Augustine's College. Now what is sixth form? Actually sixth form is the last 2 years of school, like 11th and 12th standard. And the condition was that all the boys of that particular class should participate in the annual poetry competition. So everybody should participate in that annual poetry competition. Now the topic was prescribed for that particular year. The topic was the college. Now Smith, a student of the sixth form means last 2 years of college, of school, last 2 years of a school, which is spent like 11th and 12th class, what I said. So Smith, a student of sixth form, was more interested in cricket. than in poetry, but he was compelled to write a poem. Now what he does? He approaches his friend Reynolds. Reynolds was a student of a lower class, okay. So he had interest in poetry. Now that time he was in a hospital because he had an attack of German missiles. Now he was in hospital, so Smith went to Reynolds and he told him to write a stanza, okay, on the topic describing the college. What describing the college? He wanted to write on it as an imposing pile, okay, which is imposed upon students, and as a battlefield of cricket and football matches. Now he scribbles the stanza on two other sheets. When the nurse came in between, okay, in the hospital where he was, nurse came in between, Mrs. Lee enters the sick room and forcefully she opens the door. And what happens? The two sheets are blown outside by a strong gust of wind. Now Reynolds does not attempt to get it back. Okay, he did not tried hard to get it back because he saw that tea had come in, and he would take tea better than going after it. And what else, he thought that those lines he remembers, so he can write again also. Now what happens? Montgomery and Morrison, two other students of the same class, okay, managed to get each of the two sheets because those two sheets flew away out of the window. So these two boys got these two sheets, and as a result, Smith, Montgomery and Morrison submitted their poems beginning with the same stanza which was written by Reynolds. Okay, because all the three were not interested in writing poetry. Now when the headmaster, Reverend Arthur James Percival, sends all the poems, okay, to Mr. Wells, his great college friend, for examination, Mr. Wells writes back saying something, okay, that only the poem of Rogers was a boy in the same class who had interest of writing poetry, and all the students had a belief that he will only get the prize always. So after examining all the poems, Mr. Wells wrote that the only poem of Rogers of the sixth form was moderately good, okay, it was moderately good enough compared to all the other poems. And what else he had written? He further also commented that three comedians of the class of the sixth form have cheated the headmaster by writing the same stanza. So he commented that also after it. And then as a result, what happened? The principal called all the three and then asked them what had happened. Then they disclosed the matter, and finally it was revealed. And after that, a decision was taken, okay, that hereafter it won't be writing a poetry won't be compulsory, it won't be made compulsory for all the students. Okay, those who had the interest of writing poetry only would write, others would be relieved from it. So this is the story, The Prize poem.